Okay, we are live, a little bit late, about 2 minutes, and we're gonna have a little live stream here. Little live stream, and, I hope the notifications went out, and let's do a time check here. Yes, it's about, a couple minutes after the official start time of 5 o'clock, and we're gonna talk about Rolex Good Friday sale, no, not Good Friday, Black Friday. So, yeah. So Rolexes have been on sale for a while, actually. Prices are plummeting, and, you see a lot of people in the Rolex groups and so forth, and by the way, I shared this, that I was gonna do this live stream and talk about this subject in some of the Rolex groups on Facebook, and most of them didn't allow the post. They said it violates the terms and so forth because we're talking about selling Rolexes and the prices of them and so forth, and they didn't wanna talk about that. It's not it's not a good subject for them these days. So, so anyway, we try to keep it real on this channel, and so that's what we do. And I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube from various influencers, if you will, and people that are supposedly in the know. And a bunch of them are saying that watches are becoming more available at ADs. We're also seeing a lot of people posting in the Facebook groups that they, quote, got the call. And some of them didn't have to wait long at all to, quote, get the call. Some of them have just walked right in and bought watches recently. And so these are the canaries in the coal mine. This is the first indications of a major pullback in the works. And some people are saying that the pullback has already happened and that prices are going to hold where they are now. And I don't know what world they're living in because that's not the case. I've been saying for years that these prices where people are paying over list price for steel Rolexes, that this is an anomaly, that this is not normal. And people kept saying, well, no, this is the new normal. This is the way things are going to be. I mean, it's just always going to be the case. They're always going to go up in value. If you buy one and you sell it a year later, you're going to be able to sell it for significantly more than you paid for it. All of these things they've been saying. And I've been saying, no, that's not normal. That's not the way things are in the Rolex market traditionally. So I have, all I can speak to is 40 years of experience when I owned Rolex watches, and I bought and sold a number of them. And because back in the day, I couldn't really afford to buy new ones most of the time. So I would buy a used one and sometimes one that needed a little bit of work, fix it up a little bit, whatever, and flip it or whatever, and try to work my way up to more expensive watches. I didn't buy my first new date 8 until uh, I want to say about 19. Oh, let me think. I got to think about this. 1995, something like that. My most recent one, the 18238, I bought in the year 2000. So anyway, I have experience with the market with buying new watches and buying used watches. And as I've mentioned on the channel before, the normal thing is for a new watch to be discounted, and including a steel watch. Steel watch maybe 10-15% discount from list, and a gold watch maybe 20, maybe 30. I've gotten as much as 40% off on an all gold Rolex brand new from an AD. Okay. So that is what the market normally is. And also, by the way, the watches are normally readily available. You might have to go to a few ADs to find the watch that you want because they don't always have the watch you want, the dial or whatever. Uh, if you want a GMT with a Jubilee, you might have to go to a couple of dealers to find one with a Jubilee instead of an Oyster, right? Something like that, right? But they were generally available. You didn't have to hunt a whole lot to get them new. Kyle's in the house. He says, "Hey guys," Stig's in the house, and so when I start seeing availability pick up at as far as the indications are that availability is picking up. And by the way, I have firsthand knowledge that availability is picking up because I expressed interest in possibly getting the gold GMT from the AD that I bought my date 8 from, and mysteriously one appeared that at first it wasn't available, and then she said it was available, right? So I said, "No, I'm not ready to buy yet, probably next November, like a year from now." And she said, "Oh, no, no problem. I'll be able to take care of you." So in other words, she's not indicating at all that there's going to be any problem at all for me to get the new gold GMT. Okay? So and I haven't bought a watch from them for 20 plus years. Okay? So there you go. Now I did buy 2 at the time, both all gold Rolexes. Um, so so all this to say that things are slowly returning to normal. What we've had the last couple of years is abnormal. And for the short term thinkers and the people that haven't been in the Rolex uh, game for very long, it might seem normal to have what we've had the last couple of years. Okay. But it is not normal. So, hi, everyone. Happy Black Friday, says Leslie. And see, Leslie, she has a stunning watch. And from what I understand, and I'll try to pull up a picture here in a minute, show you a picture of it, but from what I understand, she wears it a lot. So maybe she can share in the chat if that's correct. If I don't want to misrepresent anything on this channel. This channel, we try to keep things real, okay? So I believe she wears the stunner that she got all the time pretty much, or the vast majority of the time, and she didn't buy it to flip it. She didn't buy it to resell it. She bought it to wear it, okay, and enjoy it, which is, I think, what you should do with Rolex watches. Let me see if I can pull up a picture here. Give me a moment. Let's check a time check while we're doing this. Um, so, okay, so there's Leslie with her stunner. There's Leslie with a stunner. Okay, and yeah, so there's the thing. It's a beautiful watch. It looks perfect on her. It fits her. It doesn't look huge like. And that's the other thing. I have a real pet peeve. These women wearing the huge watches now, wearing like a sub or a GMT. Date 8 36 looks pretty good on them, I have to admit. But wearing these huge watches, especially when they're petite and have small wrists, it just looks silly. It's like those Japanese guys that went to the Grand Seiko event up in New York with the tiny wrists and the huge Grand Seikos on. I mean, this watch is pretty big. This is 38 and a half mils. They were wearing like 45 mil watches, right? With a suit, with a tiny wrist. And I thought that looked pretty silly. But if you look here, this watch is perfectly sized for Leslie. It looks perfect on her wrist. And again, if she wants to chime in the comments, it's probably very comfortable to wear all the time. And so, and Kyle, I don't know if I have a picture of his watch. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh, before I go after this off of this picture, look at this picture that we were looking at the other day. That's that stunner I was telling you about, the GMT Master. So let's see if I can find Kyle. Here we go. Oh, here I think we've got Kyle wearing I think that's a snowflake. That a Grand Seiko snowflake? That actually looks good on him. Interesting. Interesting. So I'd forgotten about that. I guess he had one and sold it. Let me see if I can find um, the. I was trying to find the. Darn it! I can't find the sub. I knew I had a picture of him with the sub. Oh no, this is a different Grand Seiko. This is that stunner. I think that's the stunner that he sold to Carlos. That is a stunner. I like that piece. Okay. Um, darn it. I've got to organize my photos better. My photos are not organized good enough here. Okay, so it's actually titanium 37 mil 9F. Yeah, exactly. That was a beautiful watch. Man, I should have stepped up and bought that damn watch. I don't think they're easy to find. But then again, I don't really need it and I hate having a box watch, so there's that. But I really should have a 9F grab and go piece. I should have a 9F grab and go piece. The other thing is I have thought about well, before we move on, let me finish up on the Rolex pricing, and then I'll tell you my thought process on the gold GMT. Leslie, I love my watch. I wear it every day, work, gym, and a night out. It's definitely an EDC. Yeah, everyday carry. Absolute one watch solution. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. If you take your time and you're wise and you make the proper selection of a watch, then you're not going to have that wandering eye. You're not going to be like, man, I wish I had that, or whatever, right? And it's like these guys that buy the steel and gold watches and really want the all gold watch. Let's face it, that's the only reason why they buy steel and gold, because they like gold, but they can't afford the all gold. And don't tell me it looks better to be steel and gold, because it doesn't. Anyway, the the if you take your time and you have a low time preference and you'll save up and get the watch that you really want, and it's to me it's more rewarding that way anyway. uh and then wear it and enjoy it for literally for decades. I think that's the way to go. Again, the only reason I switched over to Grand Seiko was the legibility issue. I couldn't read the day date anymore without my glasses, and I don't wear the glasses all the time. But anyway, there was a legibility issue. And then, of course, I wanted to check out the Grand Seikos, and I did, and I was really impressed, especially when I first saw that diver. I was really impressed when I tried it on and so forth. Super comfortable on wrist, and talk about legible. Oh my goodness. So, and now I'm really spoiled with the accuracy of the spring drive on this watch and on the diver, both of them insanely accurate. And so I I don't know about the GMT. I just don't know. I mean, I have set aside a Bitcoin, and we'll talk about the Bitcoin here in a minute as well, because we got to catch up on that. But I really like the two watches I have. I mean, I love this 002 is so comfortable on wrist. It just disappears on the wrist. And I can wear it with anything. I can wear it with a suit like I am now. I can wear it with polo shirt, with a t-shirt. I can wear it with anything. And in any weather, it doesn't bother me. My wrist, I guess, doesn't sweat that much or whatever, but anyway, it does fine. And the strap is holding up great, thank you. So we'll talk about the GMT. Um, Craig, where are you going dressed so dapper? I got back. I was at a meeting earlier and I got back. I scheduled this. earlier in the day, and that's why I was a little bit late, is I was because I was a little bit late getting back. But I had a meeting earlier today, and out of respect for the person that I'm meeting with, I like to dress halfway decently. I don't do it for me. I do it out of respect for, if I'm meeting with somebody who's a professional, um, I I I like to dress halfway decently. So yeah, so gold GMT would go with that type. Gold GMT, to be honest with you, an 18 karat yellow gold GMT will go with anything. It will go with anything. Um, how about TPG scandal? Do you think it affected used Rolex prices? So, so what's the latest on the? Fill me in on the latest on that scandal. Are we talking about the guy down in that had a place down in Texas? Is that the guy we're talking about? Is this a different guy? I get all these. I get these Rolex influencers and gray market guys and all confused. But Leslie, to used Rolex prices, what's affecting used Rolex prices is the the situation that created the bubble no longer exists. The situation that created the bubble was a whole lot of people staying home during COVID and having money to spend because a lot of them had government jobs and they were still getting paid their full salary and they were just staying at home. And so they um, had a lot of money to spend, and so they were buying watches. And then the prices started going up because everybody was buying watches, and so that created a fervor where everybody was hyping that all these watches were going up in price and they're great investment and so on and so forth. So all these people started piling in, all buying watches, the classic bubble, right? And then you have people buying, you know, 10, 12, steel stunners and having them in a watch box and being afraid to wear them because they might get scratched because they're all investment pieces. They're investment pieces. Now, when people finally realize that those watches in that box are not investment pieces, that they're very poor investments, they should have sold them a year ago at the top of the market. They didn't. Now the market's going down. So every day they keep those watches are going to be worth less money. And if they have them invested in something that gets an actual return, then that investment would be going up in value. For example, if they put it in Bitcoin, right? It would be going up in value as opposed to going down in value. So over time, they are going to realize that there's no reason to keep those watches. So they are going to slowly start selling into the market. And they are what I would call, they're not end users. They're not Leslie's of this world that bought a watch to actually wear and enjoy. They're people that bought way too many watches just because they could and because they thought they were going to make a lot of money on them. Okay. And so now when they finally realize that they're not going to make a lot of money on them and they start selling them into the market, the number of end users of Rolex watches has not really increased. That number is pretty steady, right? There's a certain number of people in our society worldwide that want to buy and wear and enjoy a Rolex watch. That number is pretty stable. What was not stable was the last couple of years, a bunch of people coming in and wanting to have 10 watches instead of one. That's why there were shortages, is because there were people buying 10 watches instead of one. And these were people that would normally not buy 10 watches under any circumstances. They're not wealthy people. They're not people that can really afford it. Sometimes they even put them on their credit cards. And so again, when it goes back to normal and people are buying the watches simply to use as a watch to wear, then we'll be back to where the 80s will have watches and the market will return back to normal. Okay. That's where we're headed. And I think it's going to be a gradually then suddenly thing. It's already starting. Prices on various models have already pulled back. But when these people finally give up and realize, uh-oh, I'm screwed if I keep these watches forever. I got to get out of these watches and put the money in something else. Preferably, they'll put it in Bitcoin. Um, that's when we see the prices really adjusting down, and to where watches will start piling up at ADs where they'll have a good selection for you to pick from, and you'll be able to get watches right away. I think that's where we're headed. Okay, let's see. Turns out TVG was a male for male escort. Oh, jeez. I guess you got to do what you got to do. Yes, same guy relocated to Beverly Hills and scammed another large group of people. I heard that too. Okay. Let's see. Did Mid Atlantic TV take out PPP loans, free money? No, I didn't. I probably should have. Okay, so here we go. Um, we're going to talk briefly about Bitcoin. The the heavy hitters are coming into the space. BlackRock, Larry Fink, who runs BlackRock has come out publicly praising Bitcoin, where previously um, he had not been kind to Bitcoin, to say the least. And now he's all in. He wants to do a Bitcoin ETF. They want to they want to make sure that Bitcoin is controlled by the big guys. And so this is good for the Bitcoin price. The Bitcoin has doubled this year, basically. It was around 16,000. Now it's what, 37,000, whatever. So it's doubled, right? So the halving is in April. The Bitcoin ETF will probably be approved next year. We don't know when. But a whole bunch of big money is going to come into the space. The downside to this, and we saw a casualty of it today, Wallet of Satoshi has officially announced that they're not going to be serving US customers. I think what this means is you can no longer download the app in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store. I have the app on my phone while Satoshi and it works. I pulled out more than $4,000 worth of Bitcoin today out of it in like $500 chunks. I tried to do like 4,000 all in one lightning payment and that choked. That wouldn't work. So then I did a whole bunch of $500 withdrawals. I moved it over to Strike temporarily until I figure out what wallet I can use. See, I have Moon Wallet. I have a couple of other Lightning wallets, but the Wallet of Satoshi is the only one that I had that had the Lightning URLs, which allows you to have a permanent QR code that you can put on your website or whatever, and then people can send you money via that QR code. That's a permanent QR code. Whereas Lightning wallets, traditionally, you can generate an invoice, but that invoice expires after like 30 minutes. So it's not permanent. So anyway, to make a long story short, Wallet Satoshi has decided they do not want to comply with US regulations and they don't want to KYC everybody, know your customer. In other words, get everybody to send a driver's license and all that. So they said, screw you, we're just not going to serve US. And so we're going to serve the rest of the world. And there's a number of these Lightning wallets that have decided to do that don't want to play ball with the regulators. And so, okay, we'll just serve everybody else and not you. And so this is a time in Bitcoin's history where we're going to see a tug of war between the big guys who want to control and regulate Bitcoin and everybody else. Okay. But during this whole process, Bitcoin keeps getting more valuable and the network arguably keeps getting stronger. And so no matter what anybody tries to do, it just keeps plugging along and more people become aware of Bitcoin and more people buy and hold Bitcoin. So somebody asked me the other day, they said, hey, Bitcoin's like doubled. Should I sell my Bitcoin? I'm like, You don't listen to anything I say. Don't ever sell your Bitcoin. I'm an old guy and I'm not planning on selling my Bitcoin. So if you're a young person, you certainly shouldn't be planning on selling your Bitcoin. Hold on to your Bitcoin with a strong hand. Don't let anybody get your Bitcoin for any reason. And if you don't have enough Bitcoin in cold storage in self custody, then I don't know what you're thinking because the longer you wait to get your stash in order and get it secure, the more expensive it's going to be. Let's say let's say your target is 21 Bitcoin, which is what Adam Meister said years ago, and I agree with him. 21's a good number. If you don't have that now, if you wait, the odds of you getting to 21 Bitcoin are going to be, it's going to be very difficult. Okay, at some point, it's going to become virtually impossible to even have one Bitcoin, one whole Bitcoin. Okay, for most people. So this is a time sensitive thing. This is a thing where if you're sitting on a whole bunch of steel watches, you better liquidate those puppies as soon as you can and turn that money into Bitcoin, because otherwise you're going to be way behind the eight ball 10 years from now. Okay. So that's how that works. All right. Anything else we need to touch base on this emergency broadcast? Anybody have any questions, comments? Oh, the GMT master. I said I would talk about the GMT. Let's see if we pull up a picture of the GMT. Where is it? Oh, there's my old 18238 with the DuPont pen. Not the same DuPont pen that I have here in my pocket. Okay. Where's the GMT? I thought I kept that. All right, let me find it. All right, let's go through these pictures here again. We've done this before, but we'll go through them again. So the GMT, and you'll see in these pictures that the color, the white balance on some of these cameras is not right, and so that it looks more yellow than that, right? But you get the gist. In some of these pictures, you'll see the color's more accurate. But this is when Jason looked at the one that they had down there at the Virginia AD that I'd bought my other watch from. He went and looked at it, and it's a stunning piece. Color's a little more accurate there. Yeah, a little more accurate there. I think this was from Hodinkee or something. So I think it's a stunning piece. I like the way a GMT rides on the wrist. It rides nice and flat on the wrist. It's even a little bit thinner, I think, than the sub. I think it's thinner than the sub. I know it's thinner than the sub with the date, but I think it's even thinner than the sub itself, the sub Note 8. So nice and flat on the wrist. I think the GMT, I think the Jubilee bracelet makes the lugs not look as chunky. I think this watch on the Oyster bracelet, the lugs look more chunky. It's still a super case. It's still chunky, right? But they trim those lugs down a little bit, in these recent models from the Pepsi on, I think. So I can live with that. It's a little bit slab sided. Jason said he was concerned that maybe I wouldn't find it as comfortable because of the slab sides. I don't know. I think it would probably be okay, but it's hard to tell. But a stunning piece, absolutely stunning piece. And I think it would be more legible than a date 8. See, it's between this and a date. If I get another Rolex, it's between this and a date 8. And on the date 8, it's probably a 36 mil I would go for, probably. Because at that point, I'd be like, okay, I just have to wear my glasses. I just have to give up on the whole thing and just wear my glasses. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? The GMT, because obviously it would not be as common. Also, that's kind of cool. and I love the Jubilee bracelet. What do you guys think? The GMT or a day date? What do you guys think? Of course, a gentleman's watch should always be solid 18 karat yellow gold. That's not negotiable. I mean, just look at these pictures. If somebody says a steel GMT looks better than this watch that's on the screen right now, I don't know what they're smoking. I don't care if it's a Pepsi. I don't care what model it is. If they think it looks better than this watch right here on the photo right now, I don't know what I think they're in denial. I think they're in denial. So let me know in the comments what you all think. Let me know in the comments. Okay, just let me know in the comments what you think. I think the day date is perfect for you, Craig, along with the 002. Okay. All right. And the day date would be your sport watch. But in Florida, don't you think the GMT would be better in Florida? What do you think? I might have to end up getting both of them. I don't know. But see, here's the thing. I tried the day date GMT rotation back in the day. Now that was back when the power reserves were not as long. And I had the problem where one of them would stop. Like I would wear one of them too long and then I'd go back to grab the other one to switch out and it had stopped on me, right? And that was irritating as all get out because I hate resetting these watches because you got to get the minute hand so it's in sync with the you got to get the minute hand so it's in sync with the second hand properly, right? And so restarting these watches and resetting them is a pain. Now I can tell you if I ever got one of these watches and it was running slow, I would be really pissed. It would go back to the AD. I can't handle a watch that runs slow under any circumstances. Um, maybe I was going to say get both. Okay, so do they wind more efficiently these days? In other words, with the newer movements and everything and the longer power reserves, do they, with normal movement and all, do they wind more efficiently than they did back in the day? Am I not going to have a problem with one of them stopping? I take one off and I've been wearing one for 2 days or something, and I go back to the other one to switch it back on, and now all of a sudden it's stopped on me. What do you guys think? Do you guys have experience with that? Do they wind better now than they did back in the day? One thing I like about these spring drives is they are very efficient in that manner. They don't require as much wrist time, in my experience, as what my Rolex is used to. Um, they wind up pretty quickly with normal movement on wrist. So, and Kyle says, be sure to keep the 002. Yeah, I wouldn't sell the 002 because in any event, the 002 is a really good dress watch in any event. But I don't know. I really like the GMT, but I haven't seen it in person. But you know what? I think I would like the case better on the day date, the case shape. And the president bracelet's amazing, let's face it. And I've seen a lot of people these days, a lot of people wearing the day date relatively loose on the wrist. So if I wore it a little bit loose on the wrist, that would solve the problem as far as not having micro adjustments. And I never really had a problem with my day date being loose or tight on the wrist. For some reason, it was always fine. Now, I always took a link out in the winter, in the fall. For the winter time, I took a link out and then I put the link back in. Um, and the spring. That's all I did with the date 8, and it was always comfortable. Now, it was a 36 mil. So, Kyle, what are you thinking, a 36 mil or a 40 mil? Somebody says no more Grand Seiko. No, I mean, we already said I would keep the 002 for sure. And I would keep the titanium diver. Because first of all, nobody seems to want to buy it. And also to just have an absolute beater watch, an absolute rugged beater watch that can take anything I throw at it. I think it'll be good to have to have that diver. Um, so yeah, okay. So here's the thing. Uh, if you recall, when Bitcoin was around 16,000, I set aside one Bitcoin, and I said when Bitcoin hits 100,000, which will probably be next year, maybe early 2025 ish, but maybe next year. When it hits 100,000, I would sell that particular Bitcoin, one Bitcoin, pay the capital gains on it. Okay. I'd end up with probably 85 grand or so clear after paying the taxes. Uh, and with that 85 grand, I was going to buy the GMT and Alexis sedan, Alexis LS sedan in mint condition, low mileage. I should easily be able to buy both of those. Okay. Buying the GMT and the Date 8 and the Lexus might be a stretch, because let's say the GMT and the Lexus, the GMT and the Date 8, they're going to be 40 grand each, every bit of 40 grand, even if I get a little discount because I buy both, because by then I think I'll be able to get a discount. That's 40 grand. That's 80 grand. I'm sorry. Of the 85. So I'm done. I can't, at that point, I can't buy the Lexus. Okay. What I'd have to do in that case is I'd have to wait until the Bitcoin's worth 150 grand. 150 grand. I don't think I need both. I think that's insane. I don't think I need both the Date 8 and the GMT. Kyle says, Brett loves his GMT. Okay, all right. Fill me in on that. Does he wear it a lot? And how does he feel about the comfort on wrist compared to other watches that he's had? Compared to, for example, steel watches that are lighter weight, that sort of thing. Have you gotten any feedback from him on that? What are his feelings on that? Um, okay, so you can buy the Lexus though because they are not too expensive, right? Like 15K, you get a very nice LS 430. I don't know. No, I don't think for 15K. I think if you to get a really nice cream puff, and I'd probably get an LS 460. Um, but to get a really nice one, I think you'd be more like 25 all in. And again, that's just once you buy it and once you have it fully serviced and and brought back to jumping up and down, roadworthy condition. I'm talking about buying one with like 25,000 original miles on it, a really nice cream puff. I think you're going to be more at like 25 grand. And I'm a firm believer in paying up on a car and getting the really nice car, because those things can be expensive to maintain and to fix if somebody hasn't maintained it properly and if it hasn't been garage kept and all that. I mean, these things are not inexpensive to maintain. And I just want one that's in great shape. I don't want one where the leather around the steering wheel is all scarred up, where the wood is cracked, and because you can't bring that kind of stuff back. If a car's been let go, you can't bring it back. So I want to buy one that is jumping up and down, super nice, that nobody else wants to buy because it's too expensive. That's the one I want to buy, because I'd rather spend 10 grand more and have, a cream puff than save 10 grand and not get the car that I want. Because remember, I had an LS 430 brand new, so I know what they're like brand new. Um, Joey's in the house. Buyback GS 9F 005 GMT. That was a nice watch. That was it, Joey. That was a nice watch. Um, Kyle, oops. He said it was his favorite watch he's ever had. He likes the weight actually and the feel on the wrist. Very good info. I like this. I like this info. See, I like to get firsthand real info, and I consider firsthand, information that Kyle has, you know, from his friend. I consider that firsthand because he got it from the horse's mouth. He's given it to me. I mean that this is real information here. Okay, this isn't some watch forum BS from somebody who probably either doesn't have the watch or has it and it's been in a box and he hasn't even worn it, right? Because he's scared to scratch it. Am I doing that? I saw some guy the other day. He was showing off a picture of his Daytona on his wrist in one of the Rolex groups and had all the plastic stuff on it, right? I saw that. I had to laugh. Somebody commented about the plastic on it, right? And he said, "Oh yeah," he says, "I just feel a lot more comfortable with it protected." Oh my God! Talk about peak Rolex silliness. You're going to buy a beautiful Rolex watch and then put plastic on it in order to take it out of the house. I don't even think it was out of the house, tell you the truth. I think he took the picture in the house. Oh God. I just can't handle it. I can't handle that sort of thing, okay? Kyle. Yes, you're probably right. That's probably correct if you get one with that low mileage. And that's the one you want for sure. Drive it to the car. Yes. And I'll tell you what I would do. Absolutely. You're spot on, Kyle. What I would do is I would buy the car and I would take it to the car care nut and drop it off. I'd arrange for I'd set an appointment because he's busy. He's a busy guy. I'd set an appointment. I'd tell him what I have, and I'd say, "Listen, I'm gonna get an Airbnb. I want to just tour around Chicago, check it all out. I'll go there like in the summertime. Go there when it's nice, and I'll make an appointment with him, and I'll say, "Listen, I'm gonna leave the car with you for a week, 10 days, however long you need it, and just go through it and whatever it needs." And You know, I think that the car would be a super nice car. And then I'll probably take it to him like once every couple years just to have it gone over, just to make sure everything is the way I need it. And I will probably be able to drive that car for the rest of my life because I'll have another car too, you understand. I won't just be driving that. So I'll have my Prius or something else or whatever just to be bopping around town, short little hop over to Costco or whatever. I wouldn't take the LS. I'd take the LS for road trips, stuff like that, for what it's made for, right? It's a road car. Um, and so that would probably be my plan, unless I find somebody in Sarasota that's as good and as impressive as the car care nut. Probably isn't going to happen. So there's nothing wrong with taking a road trip up to Chicago, straight up 75, right on up into Chicago, and have him work the car over, and maybe he'll do a video because he probably will do a video because it's going to be a stand-up car. I mean, it's going to be nice. Okay, he'll probably be blown away. He'll say, "Damn," and he'll say, "Whatever you paid for it, it was a deal." That's his way of thinking too. He's on the same bandwidth as me. He realizes that you're better off paying for a super nice car. Pay me now or pay me later, right? You get one that's been neglected, that has mileage on it, and stuff like that, yeah, you're gonna save 10 or 15 grand, but, you know, I don't know. And see, here's the thing, let's say it's got 25,000 miles on it, it's one owner car, garage kept, super, super nice, and it's a LS 430. I'm gonna have to have the timing belt done, timing belt, water pump, all of that stuff. So I'll just have them do the whole major service on it, right? The whole deal. And then it's ready to go for 100,000 miles because you only do that about every 100,000 miles, right? So once he does that, then I'm good to go for 100,000 miles. And, and it's like, I just have him do all the fluids in the car, make sure the suspension, everything's the way it should be. If it needs shocks, if it needs control arms, anything, whatever it needs, just do it. All Lexus parts, which is what he likes to do. He likes to use OEM parts for everything. So that's why I might have to go with an LS 460 just because some of the parts are becoming harder to get on the LS 430. So that's making me kind of nervous. Let's see. Pull this up. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Um, so we're crying out loud. I don't want to log in. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what the. Okay, this one's got 55,000 miles on it, and 2001. Mine was a 2002. Let's see. Okay. Doesn't really say like doesn't really say if it's one owner or not, but it probably is that kind of mileage. Anyway, let's see. I don't mind the color either. I'm good with this. Most of them, they don't have any really lousy colors on Lexus. I would go with a black one. I would go with this. Mine was a light blue metallic, the one that I had. I'm not a big fan of those particular wheels, but they're okay. Um, and this is the sport model, I guess. That's why they have those particular wheels, those shiny wheels, opposed to the ones that mine had. Um, yeah. So yeah, you're on the right track. So you're seeing that if they ask a premium price, then the cars don't sell right away. And that's the other thing, by the way, folks. The car market is returning to normal as well. And the RV market is returning to normal. Okay. So all of these markets that were overheated, it does say one owner. Okay. All of these markets that are overheated, that were overheated, especially the RV market, but the used car market, all of them are coming back down to earth. All of them are coming back down to where they should be. Okay. This is what happens when an overheated market, you know, finally corrects. It just comes back to where it should be, should have been all along. Excuse me. And we're headed into probably a recession. So we might have, you know, it might go below normal. In other words, not only will it pull back to where it should be, but it might be a buyer's market where you can get deals on things, right? So my timing might be really good. It might work out that my Bitcoin peaks, in other words, hits its 100 grand target, and then the used car prices are soft at that point in time, and the Rolex prices are soft at that point in time. I'm not expecting that much of a discount from the AD, but if the prices are soft and I can get 10% off on the GMT, hell yeah, I'll do it, and I'll say I'm paying cash. I'll wire the money to you, and you don't have to worry about paying any 3%, credit card thing or doing any kind of financing thing or any of that nonsense. And they just give me 10%. I'll just say, hey, listen, here's the deal. I mean, I don't like paying taxes. Ship it to Florida and give me a 10% and let's go. So, I might be in the driver's seat, literally, with the Lexus and the GMT. So yeah, I could take a road trip, you know, if I have to. I can take a road trip in the LS and buy the GMT somewhere else. So okay, you don't want to deal with me? We got 4 ADs that are sitting on these watches that can't sell them because these yamokes don't have any freaking money. They can't buy the damn thing, and I'm ready with cash. Let's go. That's how I used to deal back in the day. I used to say, "Hey, fine. I got a road car here. I'll go up to Philadelphia. I'll find some ADs up there that want to sell. That might be a little bit depressed, right? They might be a little bit depressed and go up there and pick up a GMT in solid gold." Interesting times we live in, folks. But anyway, things are good. You guys are doing good. That's what's important. You guys are doing good, and you've got your Bitcoin. Most of you, I hope to God you've got your Bitcoin and you've got it in self custody. It's secure, and batten down the hatches and get ready for a wild ride because next year and into 2025, remember the peak is usually a year after the halving. So the halving's in April. So we'll probably have some ups and downs and probably hit 100 grand sometime next year. And then, the big blow off top will probably be in early 2025, maybe even April, maybe even exactly a year after the halving. It'll be a big blow off top. Maybe that'll be, I don't know what do you guys think? 250,000 for the blow off top? 400,000? What do you think? I won't be selling. I'm only going to sell this one Bitcoin that I set aside to buy these toys with. To buy these toys. Um, so yeah, Lost Spring Bar is in the house. He just dropped in real quick to say hi, happy Thanksgiving, season greetings. Yes, absolutely. And he was the one that actually handled that gold GMT. He actually handled the gold GMT down at the AD down there in Virginia. All right. On that note, we're gonna call it a broadcast. I think it was a successful broadcast. And by the way, I invited people to come in. I did share a link and several of the Rolex groups, forums, or whatever. I think they're called groups, and on Facebook, inviting people to come in if they had Rolexes they wanted to sell, and they could show them here on the live stream. But those guys all just hang out on Facebook. They don't come over to YouTube for anything. So they just hang out there and share pictures of their watches on Facebook. So none of them came over to sell their watches. So I gave them an opportunity to come over and do a Black Friday sale. That's what this was supposed to be, a Black Friday sale. But they didn't come over. The gold GMT is a stunner. I was offered one. I would certainly. Oh, she'll sell it to you. What are you talking about, Lost Spring Bar? Call her up. She'll sell it to you. She called me up and said she'd sell it to me. So I'm sure she'll sell it to you. Go over there and sweet talk her. I guarantee you she'll sell you that watch. She's looking for a buyer. Because she told me that I could have that one, or, she implied that she got one in for me, right? And I told her, I said, well, I told you next November, not this November. And she says, oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. She knew I told her next November, but she was trying to sell me a watch. So she called me up and said, yeah, I got a watch. She didn't call me, actually. She sent an email. No, I'm sorry. She did call me. I have a voicemail still on my phone. I think I kept the voicemail. You guys want to hear the voicemail? Um, okay. Let me see if I can do this. I shouldn't do this live on the show. God knows what this voicemail is that I'm going to play for you. All right. Are you guys ready? Here we go. Let me put on speaker. Um, oh, I don't know if this is, I don't think this is one where she said she'd sell it to me. I think this is one where she was just telling me that she was going to be there. Um, I think she told me she'd sell me one in an email. Let me play this anyway for you guys. Here we go. Wait, it's not very
Feel
loud.
free to call me at your convenience. I'll be at the store till 6 tonight, and tomorrow I'll be here from 11 to 3. I'm leaving at 3 out of town for a few days. So give me a call when you get a chance. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, so this was just a follow-up, just saying when she would be there and all that, basically come on by and get the watch. It's basically so so yeah, I absolutely think she'll sell you that watch. Um and I'll tell you what, it'd be a beautiful piece for you to have. It really would. I would sell a bunch of that other stuff that you have and just wear that damn GMT. I think you'd be I mean you'd be rolling. I mean, can you imagine a good-looking guy, and I'm not hitting on you or anything, but a good-looking guy like Lost Spring Bar with a gold GMT. See if I can pull up the picture of it. Can you imagine him with that watch on, you know, just hanging out somewhere at the polo club or whatever? Uh, the women, it would be like flies to you know what? I mean, they'd be all over him. They would be all over him. He'd be fit to be tied. He wouldn't know what he wouldn't know what to do. They'd be all over him if he was wearing that piece. And no, they're not going to be impressed with a Lange. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Not even close, okay? They're going to recognize that GMT for what it is. They wouldn't care less about the Lange. And they wouldn't care less about this 002 either, to tell you the truth. I can picture it now. Lost Lost Spring Bar at the Polo Club with the GMT. I'm telling you, they'd be all over him. Uh, the gold diggers, right? Literally, literally gold diggers. All right, folks, I'm going to let you all go on that note. But yeah, gold GMT, it's the way to go. And a titanium stunner for when you need something really heavy duty, when you need something that can really take a beating. You get yourself a titanium stunner like the one on the screen. Check all the links in the description. Thanks for watching, everybody.